Hi everyone, thank you for joining me. My name is Krisha Sarabone, also known as the Giant Slayer, and my life's mission is to influence thought to change behavior. Today I want to share with you some information that I hope inspires you. If you feel like someone on your timeline can benefit from this information, please go ahead and share it with them, tag them, and spread this message, because I hope that something I share today changes what you're thinking so you can change what you're believing and then change your results. In order to change our results, we first have to change what we're seeing. When we change what we're seeing, then we can change what we're thinking. When we change what we're thinking, then we can change what we're believing. And when we change what we're believing, then we can change our actions and our results. So if you aren't too happy with some of your results, or perhaps you want to change some of your results, hey, good morning. Something I may share today may help you or equip you to change some of those results. So today we're going to look at life lessons from the eagle. And the book of wisdom talks about there are certain things that Solomon says he does not understand. Not because he has no comprehension of it, because if you know of Solomon, he was one of the wisest men. But because we are challenged to take a closer look at these elements. Hey T, we are challenged to take a closer look at these elements to learn the lessons. So in the book of Proverbs chapter 30, Solomon draws attention to things that he does not understand, right? Hey Rhonda. And some of those things that he does not understand, one of them is the way of the eagle. For us to take a closer look at the eagle to understand the lessons that we need to learn from the eagle, the important life lessons that we should learn. So I'm going to show a short video, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to talk about 3 lessons that we can learn from the eagle that we can implement in our life to see some change. So let's go ahead and look at this video.
But it's the irresistible draw of the wind that finally tempts it into the air. They throw their feet up, begging for food. Maybe they can tell that the adults have fed recently. Perhaps the adults want to take the youngsters to a carcass. What a moment for them. Seeing the islands below for the first time. But the wind is still rising, and one of the eaglets has been airborne for well over an hour. It must be tired by now. Like a broken kite, it suddenly swings out of control downwind. A good recovery, but it still looks pretty shaky compared to its mother's effortless mastery of the air. It's trying to land, but the thin top branches just can't hold its weight. The adults stay on the wing, as if to support the youngster. It finally descends into the leeward side of the tree and looks for a larger branch. That's quite an introduction to flying.
Okay, good. So we had a look at that video, and we're gonna now discuss the lessons that we learned from the life of the eagle. I like to say that your life is your wisdom on display. So if you want to change the results of your life, then you have to change your wisdom. But wisdom is not just adding new information or learning new things. Wisdom really is your knowledge in effect. It is what you know. You put it into effect, you apply it, and then you can begin to see the results. This is why I'm going to share some of these lessons today with hope that something that I share you can apply to your life and you can change the results that you are experiencing. So if you're ready for the lessons from the eagle, can you put number 1 in the comments before I share the first lesson that I got from learning and actually studying the life of the eagle. We want to pay attention to the eagle so that we can learn the wisdom in the animal and we can apply it to our life. So the first lesson that I picked up is number 1. You have to get your feet off the ground. Somebody type that in the comments for me. Number 1, you have to get your feet off the ground. You will never fly being grounded. So the first thing that the younger eagle had to do was to pick its feet up. Now you have to imagine that this eagle was very afraid. It was unfamiliar territory. They probably have not learned the strength of their wings yet and have not really mastered the art of flying and gliding in the air. So the first lesson that we can learn is that you have to get your feet up. Whatever you're trying to do right now, whatever you're trying to dive into or push forward into, you first have to make a step. You'll never move until you lift your feet off of the ground. So what are some of the things that have you grounded? You'll never fly. That's right, Terrell. You'll never fly if you stay grounded. Sometimes fear keeps us grounded because we are too afraid to pick those feet up, so we stay grounded and we stay in the comfort zone. Number 2, the familiar keeps us grounded. So because I can function on land, the eagle can function on land, it can function in the tree. Fear of flying can keep it grounded because there is safety in that grounding. So sometimes what you know keeps you grounded because you're so comfortable. You're not willing to move because you can operate at your current level. You can do what you are currently doing. You can be effective there. But there is a difference between effectiveness and greatness. The difference between effectiveness and greatness is when you pick your feet up off the ground and you do that which you are designed to do. You do that which you are purposed to do. Because the eagle is designed to fly. But there is a learning curve. There is some difficulties. There's some challenges that it goes through as it flies. But it is definitely designed to do that. Another thing that keeps us grounded is the protection of others. So because the younger eagle has the mother there, it is protected. So it doesn't feel a need to lift its feet up because of that protection, which is why sometimes the mother eagle pushes the eagle out of the nest. Because if you are in the protection and the safety of another, you will not feel the need to push. Sometimes your job can be your safety. Sometimes other people can be your safety. Sometimes the things that you know can be your safety net. So because you are protected there, you stay in that place and you do not do what you are designed to. And this is one of the key lessons that we can learn from the eagle. Your safety net can keep you grounded. Because we are naturally risk averse and we don't like taking risk, and safety is always comfortable. You may not lift your feet up off of the ground because that net is comfortable. So the first lesson that we learn from the eagle is that you have to get your feet off of the ground. You have to lift up from that current place. You have to make a step. You have to actually put the effort into lifting before you can fly. Number 2. Somebody put number 2 in the comments for me. And this is going to be really good, guys. These are some powerful lessons. As I started to study this and I even went to the video and I looked at it in motion, I started to say, wow, this is why the book of wisdom says there are things that I don't understand. Not because we don't understand it, but because we need to pay a closer attention attention to it to get the lessons, right? Number two, the second lesson that we learn from the life of the eagle: move while looking up and glancing down. Oh, that's so good. Move while looking up and glancing down. The eagle is not able to pick up momentum if it is constantly ground, if the vision is constantly on the ground and on that current level. The eagle looks up in the direction in which it's moving, but then it glances down to see what's beneath. The vision of an eagle is so much so that from miles in the sky, it can see the smallest rabbits on the ground. So the eagle looks in the direction of movement, but it glances back on the ground to see what is on ground level. When you are moving and when you are going towards purpose, when you're going towards a specific goal, when you're trying to lift up and to soar above something, you need to look in the direction of up while glancing back on what you left on the ground. If you keep your eyes on what's on the ground, your position will always be what's on the ground. But because the eagle is now going skybound and it is now looking at heights, when you go higher, your perception changes. So if it is that you constantly have ground level vision and you see everything around you magnified, it means that you are not looking in the direction of where you're going and where you're soaring. So you cannot move up by looking down. If I'm trying to go forward, I can't look back. I can't drive looking at my rearview mirror. I glance at my rearview mirror so I get a view of what I have passed. But I look forward in the direction of where I'm going. As the eagle talks about height and elevation and going up, we look in the direction of elevation and height and going up. So even as we go up, we glance back at what we have left. We glance back at the familiar. We glance back at the ground. We glance back at the life lessons that we have learned that has equipped us to take our feet up and to fly up. But we don't look in the direction of the ground. So if you are not moving forward, maybe you have to adjust where you're looking. Maybe you're looking ground level and everything looks bigger than you. Everything looks overwhelming. When you are on the same level with a situation, when you're on the same level with a challenge, when you're on the same level with a struggle, it will always look the same size as you. Sometimes it even looks bigger than you. So it keeps you grounded because you don't lift your feet up because you feel like I can't go above this thing. I can't go bigger than this thing. My God, this is so good. I hope you guys are getting the lessons from the eagle. But the eagle looks up in the direction in which I'm heading, even though I'm afraid, even though I'm not sure the strength of my wings, even though I'm just trying this thing out for the first time. So I just lift my feet up, but I don't really know if I'm going to go up. But because I was designed to go up, it means that when I lift my feet up, that automatic design is going to kick in and I'm going to begin to move in the direction of where I'm looking. So I need to look up, but I can glance back at the things that I've left on the ground. That's lesson number 2. If you're ready for lesson number 3, I need somebody to put a 3. Put a 3 in the comments. I know this is good because I'm excited to share it with you guys, and I am absolutely going to apply these lessons in my life. As I teach, I learn. So as I study and as I equip myself and as my wisdom increases, then I can change my life, right? Good morning, Tony. Number 3. We're ready for number 3. The third lesson that we learn from the life of the eagle, right? Don't go back to the familiar when you start feeling the winds. Don't go back to the familiar when you start feeling the winds. Some of you may need to go back and look at that video of the young eagle because now you can connect the dots. The narrator says that the young eagle lifts off its leg, but the minute it begins to feel the wind, it begins to get unstable. There is some instability that happens when the winds come. And because these instabilities happen and now the safety net or the familiar is far ahead, The young eagle now begins to look back to the ground to see, okay, let me go back because the winds are too strong. Let me go back to the safety. Let me go back to the tree. Let me go back to the grounding. Let me go back to fear, because the moment I pick my legs up off the ground, the wind is so strong that my wings now feel like they're not stable, but my wings are designed to propel me and to cause me to soar. Could it be that I am in doubt about my design? Could it be that because I don't have a clear understanding and a confidence in my design and my ability, that the moment I begin to feel winds, that the moment things begin to get shaky, that the moment I see some instability, that the moment I feel like, this is uncertain, this does not feel like where I came from, this does not feel like the comfort and of where I was, but the winds are so strong that I feel like my wings, which are designed to propel in the wind, because I feel the shaking, I want to go back to the familiar. The third lesson we learn from the eagle: do not go back to the familiar. The familiar is very tempting. It tempts us because it looks easier. Anytime you're stepping out to do something great or something you've never done, something you're doing for the first time, the familiar always feels easier because it is what you know. But it's only in the unfamiliar we are stretched and we are developed. Only in the unfamiliar we are stretched and we are developed. My dad says this thing, and I asked him this morning because it came back to my mind as soon as I was studying this. He says, a ship in the harbor is safe in the harbor, but a ship was not designed to stay in the harbor. Oh! A ship in the harbor is safe in the harbor, but a ship was not designed to stay in the harbor. So you in comfort, you're safe. There is no wind. There is no instability. There is no testing of your design. So you are safe, but you are not doing what you are designed to do. So you can be effective. You can live a quality life. That is where your construction happens. But the safety does not happen in the harbor. The ship has to go out and face the winds, the element, the water to test its ability. So I'm going to make this statement here. Purpose cannot be tested in the ports of safety. Your purpose cannot and will not be tested in the port of safety. We agree that we want to walk in purpose. Yes, it's an amazing thing. It's a wonderful thing. We know what our purpose is and we love it. But like the young eagle, the moment the winds begin to come to test your level of belief in your design, you retreat and you go to safety and to the familiar. This eagle now goes back, and you see in the documentary that he goes onto a branch that can't even hold his weight because he got so confused because of the instability of the wings. He now doubted his own design. Maybe I'm talking to somebody on this live right now or on the replay that you are doubting your own design. So the moment you feel instability, strong winds, and it looks like something different from your grounding, you want to retreat and go to the familiar because the familiar is safe. But purpose cannot be tested and will not be tested in the ports of safety. It's only when I jump out. It's only, thank you, Tiberia. It's only when I lift my feet up. It's only when I begin to exercise that wind, right? Those wings. And if you notice the eagle, there is a lot of flapping before there is soaring. There's a lot of flapping before there is soaring. We just want soar because soaring is smooth. Soaring is easy, but soaring only comes at a particular altitude. When you are in purpose, you will get flapping. You will have moments where you feel like you are unstable. You will have times where you feel like it's a struggle, but it's just you building up the momentum to go higher. When I go higher, my view changes. When I go higher, my perception changes. When I go higher, I can now soar because what had me grounded is now far away from me. So I have no other choice but to trust the strength of my wings so that I can go higher. My goodness, this is so good. These lessons from the eagles are things that I want you guys to apply to your life as you step out in your purpose and your design. The only way you're gonna know what you're built for, the only way you're gonna know what you can withstand is when it's tested. Don't run back to the familiar when the test comes. Don't try to go back to that place of safety when the test comes. Only in the test you begin to build the momentum, and then you get to soaring. So when I begin to soar, the things and the element, the fear, the safety, the comfort zone, the protection, everything that kept me grounded is now far away. And my wings now do the things that they were designed to do. I don't know who I'm talking to today, but you feel like that young eagle. Like the winds are threatening to keep you unstable like a kite. Like it keeps tossing you to and fro. Don't go back to the grounding. I know it's tempting. Because of the instability, you want to retreat to the tree. You want to retreat to that place of safety. But only when you begin to test and to strengthen those wings, then you tap into exactly what you were designed for. So the reason we're going through this lesson today is to learn the ways of the eagle, that we can now apply it to our life. And we will not retreat at the first sight of instability, strong winds, and things that seem to come to shake us. But we will place our eyes in the direction of where we're moving while glancing back on the things on the ground, getting to that elevated position. Because only when I get to that elevated position, then I can soar. How do I move to that elevated position? I need to change my environment and my exposure. Somebody type that in the comments. Change my environment and my exposure. How do I get to move? How do I get to soar? How do I get to that place where now I pick up momentum and I can now flow effortlessly because I've been elevated? To elevate, you need to change your environment and your exposure. So the more the young eagles is around other experienced eagles that show them, hey, we were once there, but now we are here. We were at that place, but now we can soar. We can teach you to soar, and soaring is our nature because we were built for this thing. We were designed for this thing, and now we can function as designed. Because yes, we can be safe in the tree, but only when we see the beauty of our design, we can soar. So when I change my environment and my exposure, what happens? It elevates my thinking. It elevates my mindset, and I now begin to move on that level because I leave the grounding. I leave the familiar because my environment now pushes and pulls something different out of me that I did not know before. But if I stay around other eagles that don't want to test their wings, right? If I stay around other fearful people that say, oh, don't jump, because when you jump, you may hurt yourself. Yeah, you may hurt yourself, but you will learn not to jump that way anymore. So I need to change my environment and my exposure so I can change my mindset, and then I can move in an upward direction. Then I could elevate. Then I can soar, because then I would have tested the thing that I'm built for, and my design would have proven that I was created for this, that I was born for this, that this is my purpose, and I was created to soar. So these are lessons from the eagle. If this was beneficial and you guys enjoyed it, please leave me some comments. I want to hear your thoughts on this teaching. Please share it on your timeline so someone else could benefit. Please tag a couple friends that may need to learn how to soar, because we are all eagles. Once we in this crew, once you're listening to this message, you have the ability to soar because you were designed for it. Remember what I said, a ship in the harbor is safe, but it wasn't designed for the harbor. So don't allow things to keep you grounded where you're not designed to flourish, but test out those wings and begin to soar. This is Krisha Sarah, also known as the Giant Slayer, and this has been a lesson from the eagle. You guys have an amazing Thursday. Bye-bye.